the basic needs of laboring women. Now we're starting to dive more into birth as well. Now I know it's month 4, and I want you to already understand birth. Yeah, it's important that you have it in your mind from the beginning onwards, how birth should be, like what's important. So that's why I'm putting it here already. So during the 1960s, the effect that fear and the body's subsequent release of adrenaline could have upon labor was beginning to be understood. So a perinatal psychologist, Niles Newton, studied what happened when pregnant mice were disturbed during their labors. He found that if the pregnant mice was disturbed during labor, the labors increased in length by up to 70%, and some mice didn't even give birth at all. Interestingly, there was a different effect if the first of the litter had been born. The rest of the babies had very fast birth, and simply by disturbing the mice during labor, the overall chances of actually baby mice dying increased. Now, when mammals, and we are mammals, feel threatened, hungry, or cold, their bodies release adrenaline. Adrenaline stops the release of oxytocin. And during labor, oxytocin is the hormone which makes the uterus contract. If your oxytocin levels fall during labor, and contractions will slow or halt, and the circular muscle fibers of the cervix tighten. This is a clever survival strategy to allow mammals actually in labor to go away from the threat and labor and give birth somewhere safer. Now, if adrenaline can stop labor contractions, then a basic need of a laboring mammal is to experience minimal adrenaline release. She will need to be somewhere she feels safe, undisturbed, and warm. So these are the basic needs of a mammal in labor, and women are mammals. So we are mammals. Human beings are very special mammals due to the unique capacity of the human brain for conscious awareness. So our minds make us unique amongst all mammals. They are an extraordinary gift of the evolutionary process for us. So, however, during a physically intense and involuntary process such as labor, a busy and reflective mind can be handicapped. Okay, so the mind's constant reflection upon the intensity of the labor and how it's going makes labor challenging for us women, rather than the physical experience itself. So thankfully, women's bodies have a design solution to this handicap in the form of birth hormones. Now, labor and birth are involuntary process controlled by hormones from ancient parts of the brain, namely the hypothalamus and also the pituitary gland. During the labor, these ancient limbic system structures are the most active. This is a reversal of the way the brain operates in an everyday life. Now, every other day of a woman's life, impulses from the limbic system are inhibited by the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is a part of a brain which is responsible for our abilities to focus, our concentration, to plan ahead, and so on. Now, what does this mean for our birth? Increasing oxytocin levels in the woman's bloodstream during labor produces a more intense uterine contraction, which is good, and the nervous system responds by releasing higher level of endorphin, so the body's natural opiate and painkiller. Okay, so oxytocin and endorphin are also released directly into the woman's brain. They impact by quietening activity in the frontal cortex to thrive during our labor. Now, when researchers have measured electrical brain activity in laboring women, they have detected that very low brainwave frequencies in our delta region. So these brainwaves patterns are normally found in adults during deep sleep or also young babies. And these changes in the brain as the woman adapts to her labor bring about an altered state of consciousness. When the frontal cortex loosens its control of the limbic system, women's behavior changes. A laboring woman might close her eyes and stop talking. She might begin to moan and sway rhythmically. In this altered state of consciousness, women have more similarities with other mammals. Yeah, they behave instinctively without inhibition. This altered state of consciousness protects the woman from consciously reflecting upon intensity of her labor. It renders the labor neither easy nor hard, it just simply is. So instinctive human behavior is fragile because the frontal cortex is generally very good at inhibiting these sorts of behaviors. The frontal cortex can be reactivated by any kind of sensory disturbance to the woman. If this happens, the protective altered state of consciousness of labor will diminish and the woman's mind will once again begin to reflect upon the intensity of her labor. Now, laboring women need to be protected against any sort of useless reactivation of the prefrontal cortex. So the main stimuli for prefrontal cortex activation are the use of language, the presence of light, the feeling of being observed, and also the perception of danger. So, what are our basic needs during labor? Now, minimal or no use of language in any form, also minimal or no light, and removal of non-beneficial forms of observation, warmth, safety, and minimal or no disturbance. Now, when planning your place of birth, it might be worth considering how you might be able to incorporate these features into the room or space in which you will have your baby, and who might be able to help you to do this as well.